Come, let us explore what to do when Brainstorm interrupts meditation. This morning's lesson is drawn from a good-hearted question found on Reddit. A question that begins, what to do when brilliant thoughts and insights come during meditation? The question continues. Sometimes while meditating, I often come across ideas or insights which are useful, but I am unable to recall them once I have completed my meditation. I don't want to miss them, but don't want to interrupt the practice either. So, what to do? This is a great question. Let us begin with broad brushstrokes. Let's see here. Let's hit home and left. Okay, let's begin with, as the Irish say, Jesus. In all three synoptic gospels records Christ's rather subversive statement. Man was not made for the Sabbath, but Sabbath for man. Similarly, you and I are not slaves to an imagined God named meditation. Meditation is a tool that serves us when we do it properly. And when it hands us on a silver platter an idea, a solution, a proto-solution, or a placeholder solution, what are we to do? We can reach for a yellow pad and a pen, or we can use the Memo app on our phone and simply type down or dictate a synopsis of that brainstorm. Way back in the 1980s, when the crust of the earth was still cooling, not one but two remarkably different men each enriched my life with tales of Carl Gustav Jung's teachings on the subject of collective unconscious. The upshot is this. When an idea is ready, it will come. The question is not, will the idea come? The question is, through whom? If we wish to be a conduit of insight, we must make ourselves available. Once again, I cannot help but quote the Synoptic Gospels. He who is faithful in little will be faithful in much. Similarly, when you have a brainstorm, jot it down on paper or pen or smartphone or tapping or talking through the mic. Whatever works best for you in the moment, in that circumstance, jot it down and then return to it and act upon it. Those three things: perceiving an insight, recording the insight, and then acting on the insight, are crucial. They condition us to be what some might call a prophet or a luminary or a Tertan. Regardless of the culture in which you were raised, the mechanism is the same. Forgive me if this sounds prejudiced, but there are many, many neurotypes. And for some neurotypes, this is more difficult. And for other neurotypes, it is more easy. For instance, if you have ADHD, this is remarkably easy. I should say, noticing and jotting it down are easy. Returning to it and applying it are more challenging. So it's kind of funny. Those with ADHD have greater ease recording it. Those who have autism have greater ease returning to it and implementing it. I guess those who have both are the lucky winners in this situation. Although, like Superman, all these superpowers come with vulnerabilities. We all have several forms of kryptonite lurking in our lives, do we not? And so that's it. And then if you can return to meditation, who knows? Maybe you'll get another brainstorm. Maybe you won't. The purpose of meditation is to make the supercomputer between our ears work better, sustain us more, enrich our lives and our relationships. One of the many fringe benefits of a regular practice, a healthy, balanced practice of mindfulness and meditation, is not only that it calms our anxious and aggressive amygdala, and not only that it stimulates our empathetic anterior cingulate gyrus, but that with consistency, it can cause our choices, utterances, and deeds to flow in the effortless effort of love's centered spontaneity. And so that has a direct bearing on our openness to brainstorms, or our ability to jot them down, return to them, and be benefited by them. In Dzogchen, a tale is often told of a man embarking on a great journey, spending the first night of his journey at a friend's house. And while he slept, his quirky friend sewed in a very, very, very expensive jewel into the hem of his garment. And then the friend left on his own journey. And the traveler woke up the next morning and continued his journey, unaware that he had great wealth sewed into the hem of his garment, or a source of great wealth. And sadly, in his ignorance, he wound up enduring hardships that were not mandatory. Similarly, with the tools before us, we have an opportunity to create great luminaries. We don't have to stumble about in the darkness. We do not have to be slaves to the patriarchal, elitist lie of the guru and the institution. We are equipped to be our own teacher, to be our own prophet, to be our own tertan, and to help many others both directly and indirectly. All we have to do is make the most of the tools we already have. I suspect it could be great fun if together as a team we practice together. So let's do that. After approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I've spent about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation, so that you would not have to. Welcome, my friends, to meditate like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. Let us bring acceptance let us do an edit. Let us bring into acceptance death's inevitability through Tikle's path of bliss and release. So there is a teaching found both in Hinduism and in Buddhism that at the point of death, one could choose through which part of the body one's very subtle mind leaves. And this is sometimes visualized as the mind being like a teeny tiny egg, shooting up our central channel and out our crown. Do we have to visualize this perfectly? No. Could playing with this now help us to have a more peaceful and surrendered attitude towards the inevitability of death? Yes. If this is a regular practice, if we regularly bring awareness and release into our practice, could we have a more auspicious transition? Yes. Is all of this predicated upon mnemonics and recalling at the moment of death? No. So, it's a very simple exercise. It's just 6 syllables divided between our inhalation and our exhalation. During our inhalation, we can silently and mentally recite mind at death, and then during the exhalation, shoots out crown. This is not an opportunity for forceful breathing. This is not a breathing exercise. Just breathe naturally. And now let us bring whatever we spontaneously notice into Treksho's path of awareness and release. Remember, the most efficient way to practice mindfulness is to silently, mentally, and passively recite the... Oops, I got ahead of myself. Please excuse me. So to mark this, our first collection of 144 breaths, what we can do is simply rest the great knuckle at the base of our left index finger gingerly upon the tip of the left index finger, and then rest both these hands palms up in our lap. So how are we going to count 144 breaths? Simple. Number 1, 144 is just 12 sets of 12 repetitions. Now, how are we going to count 12 repetitions upon just 4 fingers and 1 thumb? I'll show you momentarily. But first, the most efficient way to practice meditation is to silently, mentally, and passively recite the 1-syllable verb ease during each exhalation, thus facilitating both physical relaxation as well as mental release. Similarly, the most efficient way to practice mindfulness is to silently, mentally, and passively recite the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation, thus helping us to perceive vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly, all because silently, mentally, and passively we recited this. Additionally, during our inhalation, as we silently and mentally recite this, we can advance the tip of our right thumb upon the sets of creases on our right hand, beginning with our little finger. Together, let us begin right now. Well, that was one set of 12 repetitions. How we're going to count 12 sets. We do the same counting on our left hand, only instead of counting each breath, we count each set. First set, second set, third set, fourth, fifth, sixth set, and all the way from the beginning from the index towards the little finger. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. So if this seems ungainly, don't worry about it. Play with this exercise once for about 5 minutes or so every 12 hours. And within 2 or 3 weeks, it'll feel like old hat. Oh yes, by the way, playing with our index fingers helps to our subtle energies to collect at our crown. Now let us bring Cho's generosity, paving fulfillment through Tokal's path of love and release. Excuse me. So what we're going to do is return to the fable that our very subtle mind, the size of a small bird's egg, at the moment of death, shot like an arrow up our central channel, out our crown, into the vast expanse. Turning our attention back to our cadaver, our abandoned body and possessions, and having no further use for them, we give them to all others, to all the sentient beings of samsara and nirvana. We take this idea of generosity, reduce it down to 6 syllables divided between our inhalation, all I have, and our exhalation, give to all. Now let's return to Treksho's path of awareness and release. This time let's rest. This time let us, in order to keep track of our second collection of 144 breaths, it can simply rest the great knuckle at the base of our right middle finger upon the tip, gently upon the tip of our left ring finger in our lap with both hands palms up. Doing this helps to invite our real or imagined energies into the chest wheel. Oopsie, you couldn't see the pointer, could you? Into the chest wheel. We now stand upon the precipice of the third quarter of this morning's group practice. Therefore, let us bring wisdom's impermanence and interdependence into Tokal's rainbow path. Well, let's put it a different way. Oh, that's fine for now. So, what could it be like if all circumstances of all beings, real or imagined, were so impermanent that they blissfully melted into rainbow light? And what if all circumstances of all beings were so interdependent that that same rainbow light delightfully absorbed into our form, our body? We're going to take that idea and divide it between two breaths, how lots melt into form. In a similar manner, what could it be like if all bodies, of all beings, real or imagined, were so impermanent that they blissfully melted into rainbow light? And what if that rainbow light was so interdependent that it delightfully absorbed into our faculty of communication? What could it be like if each being's experience of the interpersonal was so impermanent that it blissfully melted into rainbow light? And that rainbow light was so interdependent that it delightfully absorbed into our mind. What could it be like if all beings' minds were so impermanent that they blissfully melted into rainbow light? And what if that rainbow light was so interdependent that it delightfully absorbed into a vast empty void? And what if the idea of a vast empty void was simply a metaphor or a simile? Well, a simile is only as effective as it is relatable. So what is a real-world example of a non-graspable vast empty void? How about the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although could be tantalizing to the eye, is intangible to the hand? We now return to Trekcho's path of awareness and release. The let us keep track of this, our third collection of 144 breaths. Simply by taking the great knuckle at the base of our right ring finger and gently resting it upon the tip of our left ring finger, resting both these hands palms up in our lap. Doing this helps our subtle energies to gather at our navel wheel. I will be right back. Let us bring both the conventional and the ultimate into Tokal's wisdom path. As we breathe in, our circumstances could appear before us quite clearly. And yet as we relax into our exhalation, these exact same circumstances could begin to feel as if they were as non-graspable as a real or imagined Buddha's paradise or Pure Land or Vati, comprised only of light, depicted in Buddhist paintings. As we breathe in, our bodies could feel rather sensual, and so could others' bodies. And yet, as we relax into our exhalation, these exact same bodies could begin to feel as if they were as non-graspable. It is an archetype of enlightenment, or yadam, comprised only of light. As we breathe in, all experiences of the interpersonal could seem rather resounding. Yet as we relax into our exhalation, these same experiences of the interpersonal could begin to feel as if they were as non-graspable as a real or imagined mantra comprised only of light. As we breathe in, our mental experiences of perception, emotion, intention, thought, memory, and imagination could appear to us rather clearly. And yet, as we relax into our exhalation, these exact same experiences of mind could begin to feel as if they were as non-graspable as a real or imagined suitable comprised only of light. We come now to our fourth practice of Trek Show's awareness and release. Therefore, we keep track of this by simply resting the great knuckle at the base of our right little finger gingerly upon the tip of our left little finger, thus causing our energies to gather in our lower abdomen's wheel, secret wheel. Let us seal this morning's meditation by bringing the 4 bases of mindfulness into Tokal's path of love. Let us lovingly wish that each circumstance of each being, of each world, real or imagined, was as fortunate as a Buddha's real or imagined paradise or Pure Land or Vati depicted in Buddhist paintings. Let us lovingly wish that each mind of each being, of each world, real or imagined, now enjoyed the enlightened peace of a Buddha's mind, symbolized by a single syllable, or bija, or seed, comprised only of light. During our in-breath, we can silently and mentally recite the top line. During our out-breath, we can silently and mentally recite the lower line. No, it's not our job to visualize, but simply to silently and mentally recite these words passively and vulnerably. Let us lovingly wish that all beings' experience of the interpersonal, in the form of verbal or nonverbal communication, be as lovingly joyful as a mantra, as a Buddhist speech symbolized as a mantra. Let us lovingly wish that each body of each being of each world, real or imagined, now enjoyed the optimal health depicted in depicting Buddhist archetypes or yadams in Buddhist sculpture. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 10 hours, I would very much like to return to today's evening meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.